Saudi Arabia is making a lot of headlines in football. They're signing the game's biggest stars, acquiring big European clubs, and growing their influence in the sport globally. It has raised a lot of discourse among fans and pundits of the game. Saudi Arabia's inroads into the global game is widely considered controversial for political reasons. In the summer of 2023, an estimated $950 million was spent by the Saudi Pro League on new players, with exorbitant agent fees and record wages being offered to Europe's top players to make the journey from their European clubs to the Saudi kingdom. This posed a challenge to the existing power structure in football, and in a sport already battling the effects of inflation, Saudi Arabia throwing their hat in the ring is also seen as a serious problem for the financial stability of European football. But amid all the controversy, the Saudis argue that there is method and purpose to their spending, and they aren't just throwing money around. So why have the Saudis taken keen interest in football, and is it a problem for the wider game? It's important to note that this isn't the first time there's been controversial influence from non-Europeans in the upper echelons of European football. On September 1st, 2008, British club Manchester City was acquired by Sheikh Mansour and Abu Dhabi Group. At the time, it raised a few eyebrows, with some questioning the integrity of Arab ownership within the English game, amid accusations of human rights violations by the UAE government. Over the next decade, Man City would be forced numerous times into stating that they were not state-funded and that the Sheikh was the sole legitimate owner of the club. However, they quickly began spending excessive amounts of money, even more than Chelsea's Russian billionaire Roman Abramovich, and eventually dominance on the pitch would arrive, resulting in an endless stream of trophies. To the detractors, Man City's success under the Sheikh's ownership lacks sportsmanship, and they bought their success by spending exorbitant amounts. But the cheers from City fans drowned out the boos from outsiders, and slowly Man City's success became accepted as part of English football's furniture, and they won 4 league titles and numerous domestic cups in the 2010s. However, in 2021, a similar situation occurred. Newcastle was purchased by Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund. Just like with Man City fans in 2008, new ownership was cheered at St James's Park. A chance to return the club to its former height was welcomed by the fans and those with stakes in the club. But from the rest of the league, it was an uncomfortable development. Like Sheikh Mansour in 2008, PIF's acquisition of Newcastle was frowned upon by many, including the owners of other Premier League clubs, for political reasons. But as far as Newcastle and their fans were concerned, it was just rivals being fearful of the club having a similar rise to Man City and challenging the traditional big clubs on the pitch. While English football remained in a frenzy for many months following the takeover, with disapproval coming from all angles of the media, the Saudis remained largely unbothered by all the noise. Their acquisition of Newcastle was just a minor part of a much bigger plan. Spearheaded by PIF controller and Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman, Saudi Arabia is executing what is known as Vision 2030, a strategic plan to diversify the Saudi Arabian economy and make it less reliant on traditional sources of income, most notably oil. A big and perhaps the most significant aspect of this plan is to increase the country's stake in global sports. In recent years, PIF and other Saudi companies have invested heavily in UFC, Formula 1, and golf, buying stakes in popular franchises and organizing sporting events in the kingdom. Being the most popular sport in the world, football was always the Saudis' primary focus, and the acquisition of Newcastle was one of the initial steps towards their goal. Following Saudi Arabia's impressive showing at the 2022 World Cup, the PIF shifted their focus from foreign stakes to growing their domestic league. PIF acquired majority ownership of Saudi Arabia's 4 biggest clubs, Al Ahly, Al Hilal, Al Nasir, and Al Ittihad, bringing nearly 25% of the entire league under single ownership, and granting those 4 clubs almost unprecedented financial muscle. According to the PIF, this move would unleash various commercial opportunities for the Saudi Pro League, allowing them to rejuvenate the game in the kingdom, in line with bin Salman's Vision 2030. And shortly after, the first and most significant signing would arrive on the kingdom's shores: Portuguese attacker Cristiano Ronaldo. To many, Ronaldo is the greatest footballer of all time and without a doubt the most popular figure in sports. His signing by PIF and Al Nasir in January 2023 was a game changer for the Saudi plan. In the months following the star's arrival on Saudi shores, attendance at Al Nasir games rose by 143%, bringing fans and even top government officials into into stadiums to see him play. Bin Salman's aim to triple the league's value through commercial revenue and private sector investment was in full motion, with ticket prices and TV revenue also going up after Ronaldo's arrival. The economic and commercial success of Ronaldo's signing left the PIF craving more. Before Ronaldo, there was a bit of a stigma towards European players moving to Saudi Arabia in their prime. It was seen as a move that signaled the end of one's career at the top of the game, but one of the game's biggest stars joining changed perspectives, and the floodgates were opened. Ahead of the 23-24 season, it was agreed that each of the 4 PIF-owned clubs would target a minimum of 3 world-renowned players from Europe, with some players also distributed among the smaller clubs within the league's power structure. The aim is for the league to become one of the top 10 leagues in the world by 2030. In the summer of 2023, the wheels were fully in motion. Bin Salman and PIF sent a flock of executives to Europe to negotiate deals with the game's biggest stars. Real Madrid striker and Ballon d'Or holder Karim Benzema kicked off a crazy summer agreeing a record-breaking deal with Al Ittihad, which will see him pocket a jaw-dropping $100 million a year. He will be joined at Al Ittihad by Chelsea star N'Golo Kante, Liverpool midfielder Fabinho, defender Luis Felipe, and Celtic forward Jota. At Ronaldo's Al Nassr, the big signing of the summer was Bayern winger Sadio Mane. The Senegalese joined for a $30 million fee, and shortly after came Porto winger and Ronaldo's international teammates Otavio. Deals for Aymeric Laporte, Lens captain Seko Fofana, Marcelo Brozovic and Alex Telles were also completed. For Al Ahly, PIF negotiated lucrative deals for Algerian winger Riyad Mahrez, Roberto Firmino, Edouard Mendy, Frank Kessie, Mir Demiral, Alain Saint-Maximin, and finally Gabri Veiga. While they were all established players within the European game, the signing of Veiga put most of Europe on high alert. The 21-year-old Spaniard was one of the hottest properties on the summer market, garnering interest from European giants like Manchester City, RB Leipzig and Chelsea. After a drawn-out transfer saga, the youngster chose to ply his trade in Saudi Arabia, leading to upheaval and criticism from fans and even fellow players. PIF wasn't done just yet. At Al Hilal, the signings of Senegalese captain Khalidou Koulibaly and Sergei Milinkovic-Savic were completed early in the window, followed by the arrivals of Portuguese midfielder Ruben Neves, Mitrovic, Malcolm and Moroccan goalkeeper Yassine Bouano. But PIF saved the best for last, completing the groundbreaking signing of PSG and Brazil star Neymar for a fee in the region of $90 million. Like Ronaldo and Benzema, Neymar is one of the best the game has to offer, and his signing is set to be a commercial goldmine for the SPL. According to reports, Neymar was given a record contract which includes houses, cars and other privileges, showing just how much the PIF are willing to give to bring the best names to their shores. For European onlookers, this presented a problem to the sport in their part of the world. In just one summer, a significant amount of talent had been drained from the European game, with Saudi bids for other stars like Lionel Messi, Mohamed Salah and Thomas Müller failing but set to be reignited in 2024. They even tabled an unbelievable offer to Paris Saint-Germain forward Kylian Mbappe, with a contract offer close to $1 billion a year. Considering the vast wealth in PIF's possession and the relentless nature of Bin Salman in achieving Vision 2030, another summer of aggressively pursuing the game's best talents is expected in 2024 and the years after that leading up to 2030. Looking at the numbers, Bin Salman's plan is set to be a success. Following the arrival of Neymar and Benzema, interest in the Saudi league is at an all-time high, and lucrative TV deals and sponsorship for the league are set to be negotiated ahead of the 24-25 season, as well as the arrival of more star players. By 2027, TV revenue is set to have risen by over 500% compared to revenue before Ronaldo's arrival in January 2023. In addition to expanding the SPL, the Saudis also have other short-term goals, such as hosting the Asian Games in 2027, a responsibility they are already preparing for. They are also set to host various other international events across football and other sports. By increasing the kingdom's influence within the game, Bin Salman and PIF hope to culminate their Vision 2030 by hosting the sport's biggest event, the FIFA World Cup. Plans were made and in motion for the 2030 World Cup to be hosted in Saudi Arabia, but with the hosting rights already awarded elsewhere, 2034 looks likely to be the year Bin Salman achieves his dream of making Saudi Arabia a sports-led diverse economy. So is the PIF and Saudi Arabia taking over European football in a bid to boost their economy's long-term health? Well, UEFA President Alexander Keferin is not concerned. According to him, the Saudis' methods are unsustainable financially, and they should rather focus on developing academies and hiring coaches to train homegrown players good enough to make their domestic competitions better.
The system buying the players that almost ended their career is not the system that develops football.
And he isn't totally wrong, as Saudi Arabia isn't the first country outside Europe to attempt to drain Europe of its star players. Most notably, China made a significant effort in the early 2010s to boost its economy through football. They built state-of-the-art training facilities, allowed their clubs to be backed by rich companies, and bought talent from all over Europe, such as Carlos Tevez, Oscar Jackson Martinez, and El Shaarawy. They convinced these players to join their league by offering them lucrative contracts, 3 or 4 times what they would earn in Europe. Sounds familiar? But eventually their deck of cards came crumbling down as financial issues crippled the clubs, leading to the exit of many star players and even some clubs going extinct. But football in the Saudi Arabia is accelerating at an unprecedented rate, and they seem to be doing things slightly differently to China. Backed by superior finances, there's also a stronger groundwork and foothold within the game compared to China, whose attempts were considered more desperate than strategic. And contrary to some of Kefarin's comments, PIF have heavily invested in directors, coaches, training staff, and academies as part of their vision. While the expectation of some Saudi sectors to make the league a top 10 league in the world by 2030 is an uphill task, there's no doubt the SPL will power up the rankings in the coming years. European football, however, will remain competitive regardless of events in the kingdom. Divisions like the Turkish Super League and Greek Super League, who thrive on attracting superstars late in their careers, may face market competition from the Saudis, but in the end there's enough talent to go round, with the European academies pumping out new talents every year to fill up their squads. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts down below in the comments. And as always, thanks for watching.